Have you ever been stuck between a rock and a hard place? I don't mean with bad options, but with a bunch of good ones. You know that feeling, right? Where you're just paralyzed. Well, what if there was a structured way to make that choice? A system to help you find the absolute best path forward. Today, we're going to break down a genius method that does exactly that.
So this entire framework comes from the brilliant mind of Dr. Kwasi Asafo-Ampadu. What he did was take the traditional engineering design process and totally adapt it into this universal 10-step system. His big idea was to create a roadmap for innovation that could work for any field you can imagine, from archaeology all the way to zoology. It's designed to guide you from that first little spark of an idea to a fully finished product.
Now, this 10-step process is an absolutely incredible roadmap. It really does take you from some vague concept to a tangible result. But as Dr. Ampadu points out, there's one step in particular, one step that trips up creators, designers, and thinkers of all kinds again and again. And that brings us right to the heart of our explainer today. Step 7, selecting the best idea. This is the bottleneck. You've done all the hard work, the research, the brainstorming, the analysis, and now you've got several fantastic options on the table. But here's the catch. You can only move forward with one of them.
So, this is the fundamental challenge, isn't it? Your technical analysis shows you have multiple, potentially great solutions. So how do you objectively, systematically choose the single best one? How do you avoid just going with your gut when the stakes are really, really high?
So how do we make that leap? How do we go from a bunch of good ideas to one great execution? Dr. Ampadu's answer isn't to just flip a coin or guess. No. He provides a really powerful guiding principle to light the way.
And that principle is to always aim for what he calls the ideal final result. It's a way of thinking that completely reframes the decision, you know? It lifts our eyes from the options right in front of us to the ultimate goal.
Okay, so what on earth is the ideal final result, or IFR? Well, it's the theoretical, absolutely perfect solution to whatever problem you're trying to solve. Think of it like a North Star. Now, obviously, no real-world solution is ever going to be perfect, but having this ideal in your mind helps you evaluate your actual, real options with so much more clarity.
Dr. Ampadu defines this ideal system with 5 incredibly ambitious criteria. Get this, it should take up no space, have no weight, require 0 labor or maintenance, and deliver all of its benefits without causing any harm. Now, of course, this is theoretical perfection, but aiming for that is exactly what pushes an idea from just being good to being truly great.
He even gives us a formula to help wrap our heads around this. Ideality equals the sum of the benefits divided by the sum of the costs plus the harm. So the main takeaway is simple. To make a solution more ideal, you either have to crank up the benefits or you have to shrink down the costs and harm. The ultimate goal is to get that bottom number as close to 0 as possible, right? Which pushes the whole result towards infinity.
Okay, so we've got our guiding philosophy. Aim for the ideal final result. But how do we actually apply that when we're staring at 3 good options on a whiteboard? Well, thankfully, Dr. Ampadu provides a set of really practical tools to help us make that tough choice. The core tool he recommends is the decision matrix. It's a simple but incredibly powerful way to get past our subjective feelings and systematically compare our options. The beauty of it is that it forces you to define what actually matters for this specific problem. And building one is a really logical step-by-step process. First, you just list out your ideas. Then you decide on your criteria. What's important here? Is it cost, reliability, ease of use? Then, and this is the crucial part, you assign a weight to each of those criteria. Maybe reliability is twice as important as cost for you. Finally, you score each option, do a little bit of math, and see what comes out on top.
And here's what it looks like in practice. See, your different concepts are up at the top, and your criteria, along with how much you care about each one, their weights, are down the side. Filling in each little box is like a mini decision. By the time you get to that total score, you've systematically thought through the problem from every angle that actually matters to you.
But, and this is a huge but, Dr. Ampadu gives a really important warning here. He says to be cautious. The numbers, they look so definitive, but remember, they're based on your subjective judgments. The real value of the matrix isn't the final number, it's the process. It's the structured thinking that it forces you to do, which leads to a much more informed decision.
He also mentions a similar tool called a Pew analysis. It's often a bit faster for a quick comparison. The key difference? is that you pick one of your options to be a baseline, and then you just score the others as either better, worse, or the same for each criterion. It's another fantastic way to structure your thinking, especially in the early stages of a project.
So, let's bring this all together. You've got your brilliant ideas, you have your guiding star, the ideal final result, and you've got a structured tool like the decision matrix to guide your thinking. You are now fully equipped to make that final, informed choice. So, the key things to take away from Dr. Empadu's method are these. 1. Always start by imagining the perfect solution. 2. Use a structured framework to organize your thoughts. 3. Break the big, scary decision down into smaller, more manageable judgments. 4. Consciously decide what criteria are the most important. And finally, number 5, remember the tool is there to make your thinking better. It's not a magic calculator.
So think about your own life for a second. Choosing a career path, starting a new project, maybe even deciding where to live. What complex decision are you facing right now that could be made just a little bit clearer by applying this simple but incredibly powerful framework?